Now, I might not be gay, but I still like me some pretty boys, if you know what I'm saying. Which is why I love the art of Sakusya2. There's something so unique about the way she draws her illustrations. They have this sharpness to them, while also feeling very painterly. And judging by her followers count, there seems to be many people who agree with me on liking her art. So in today's video, I'll be trying to uncover some of her secret techniques by copying one of her illustrations, while also attempting to understand what makes the characters she draws look so good. For the study, I decided to copy this piece of one of her original characters. I have no particular reason for choosing this one other than liking the color palette and the fact that it was a half-body illustration, unlike most of her other illustrations where she mainly focuses on the face. As always, I broke down the study into different stages so you can sit back and follow along. Something you immediately notice about Sakusya's line art is the messiness and sharpness of it. There are many imperfections in the lines, like lines that are a little longer than what they're supposed to be, or lines that overlap. This messiness, combined with a very minimal thickness and the consistent use of line weight, gives off this very sharp vibe, which is an iconic element of these illustrations. But since my usual way of line art is very much on the cleaner side of the spectrum, I struggled a little with this stage. One thing that helped me massively was to keep the canvas zoomed out at all time, so I can see exactly what possible viewers will see, and to make imperfections a lot less noticeable. For the line weight, my tip is to make lines thicker wherever there's little light, which is naturally wherever lines intersect. This method is really simple and has incredible results as long as you follow it, though I often find myself forgetting this simple rule. So I'd recommend you hang a mental note somewhere to remind you. Something like a sticky note or even just written on your canvas as a reminder. Trust me, this tip is very valuable, so don't sleep on it just because it sounds a little over the top. A pattern that you see in most of Sakusya's illustrations is the simple yet rich color palette. Most of her illustrations use a lot of desaturated colors, to the point where most of the piece is in slightly saturated black and white, to which she adds one main color that is usually quite saturated. On top of this saturated main color, she sometimes uses some slightly less saturated colors that match the main color in some way to bring harmony into the piece. This main saturated color is often used for the eyes, the fingernails, the clothes, and some of the accessories. For this study, the colors consist of a lot of white and then some orange and gold to complement the monochromatic base. Notice how the shadows here have a slight blue saturation, which is the complementary color to orange. Other examples of this element can be seen in this illustration using the color yellow with slight red touches, or in this one where she basically only uses the color red. One more thing about the colors is the ratio they're used in. For this, I'd like to think that the rule of thirds was used here. To simplify it, a 60-30-10 ratio is quite common in these illustrations. Of course, this is not a universal rule of Sakusya's art, but it's a good rule of thumb to start with. The way Sakusya renders the skin is quite simple to understand. She usually starts with a low saturation color as the base. The forehead is then completely filled with either a strong white or a saturated shadow color, depending on the light source. This is then followed by minimal shadows along the strands of the hair, using a saturated shadow color. Another thing that makes the face look the way it does is the use of highly saturated hot orange, airbrushed at the sides of the face and especially under the eyes. This makes the skin look full of life and warmth. The same process is done for the neck and hands. Just remember to add touches of saturated orange, red or pink in some areas to make the skin pop. The most iconic element about the face, and perhaps of Sakusya's style, are the eyes. The eyes always have this sharp shape to them. This is achieved by exaggerating the eyelashes to the side and thereby creating the sharpness of the eye. The eyelashes are also highlighted with a slight touch of saturated color, usually using the main color. The pupil is also simple. usually round and filled with the main color, while the lower part of it is covered with a slightly brighter version of that color. Something that might seem minor, but actually has a big impact on the look of the character, is the thin neck. Thicker necks are associated with a muscular build, which is also attractive in its own way, but not necessarily pretty in the same way Sakusya's characters are. The hair also follows a certain pattern, that being that it's messy and spiky. The spikes are most often on the side of the head, while the inner and central strands are depending on the hairstyle. It's also rendered quite simply, with a gradient of shadow at the bottom and the highlight at the top, usually kept at minimum contrast, and then adding minor details like lines inside the silhouette. The expression is also a key element in making your characters look pretty. Most of the expressions you see on Sakusya's characters are either playful with a smile or a neutral expression with a touch of meanness. My tip here is to have a reliable reference and to study similar expressions. The outfits can literally be anything. They range from techwear to simple graphic tees to a literal maid outfit. If you can't think of any outfit, just go on Pinterest and look the general style you wanna go for. I cannot overstate how important references are, especially when drawing clothes. The key to making the outfit look cool is to make the folds feel believable with the help of a reference, and to remember the color theory rules from earlier. One more iconic thing about Sakusya's outfits are the accessories. You can see many things splashed all over the outfit. Things like earrings, piercings, and tattoos are a safe option, but Sakusya does a lot of experimentation when it comes to this, so feel free to try out anything you think would fit. These accessories are usually colored with a slightly less saturated version of the main color of the illustration. And this was the final result of the study. It turned out quite accurate, so I'm really happy with it. I really hope you could take away and learn some new things through this video. This was a different approach to the study compared to the last two videos, so please let me know what you think of it. I'm always open for constructive feedback. Lastly, I want to thank you for the incredible support so far. I really did not expect my growth to be this fast, so I'm really happy that you all are enjoying these videos. I'm trying to speed up my process so I can post more often. My goal as of now is to try to reach the point where I can post weekly, even on school days. I don't really know if I'll be able to do this, but I guess I'll have to figure it out along the way. Anyway, I really appreciate you staying until the end. Happy painting, friend.